Make it the absolute best weekend of your life. Go Bucks. See ya.
From the Elk and Elk Studios, if you were injured on the job, call the lawyers at Elk and Elk at 1-800-ELK-OHIO. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Joe Valentine here for TNT Equipment. And no matter the height or the task, TNT has the scaffold solutions for you. For heavy-duty or high-speed needs, TNT Equipment has a vast array of mast-climbing scaffold to increase production and enhance safety. Our qualified staff can install all of your scaffold, access way, and trash chute needs. Call TNT Equipment today at 614-882-1549 or check out our website at tntequip.com to see how we can make it happen for you.
TNT Equipment. We make it happen. TNT Equipment.
Hi, this is Scott Grissett
and Jody Shields
of Columbus Mobility Specialists.
If you're having trouble climbing the stairs in your home, consider a stairlift system from Columbus Mobility.
Our comfortable, quiet systems offer you the safety you need to avoid dangerous falls and give you back your independence.
We are currently running a special, just $26.50 installed for a straight rail stairlift.
Call us for a free estimate. That's Columbus Mobility Specialists, 614-825-8996, or on the web at
columbusmobility.com.
If you were lied to when buying a timeshare and want out, you need my help. Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO and founder of Wesley Financial Group. 10 years ago, I started the timeshare cancellation industry by exposing the ugly truth about timeshare and giving folks the straight facts. I've been fighting the timeshare giants ever since, so no one knows this industry better than me and my team. Today, we have 383 employees and have saved our clients an average of $65,000 in lifetime payments. Imagine putting those timeshare dollars back in your pocket. If you were told at a timeshare presentation that this was available today and today only, that timeshare was a great investment, or your maintenance fees will never go up, call my office now. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we will cancel your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free information kit. 800-939-1331. 800-939-1331. 800-939-1331.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Your station for news, traffic, and weather in Central Ohio. News Radio 610 WTVN Columbus. WODC HD2 Asheville. An iHeartRadio station.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. Joe Biden elected the next president of the United States. ABC News can characterize Biden as the apparent winner in Pennsylvania, a win that makes him president-elect. In a statement, Biden saying, "I'm honored and humbled." Pennsylvania putting Biden over the top with 273 votes, more than the 270 needed to win. President Trump with 214 votes. David Boy is division manager of Pennsylvania's Allegheny County Elections Division.
We scanned an additional 7,200 ballots, bringing our total voted in Allegheny County to a little over 702,000. Of those 7,200 ballots we cast today, 5,184 went to Biden, 1,893 went to Trump.
Still some more votes to tally. ABC's Eva Pilgrim in Philadelphia.
Here's what's left to count in PA. They are Philadelphia. These will likely favor Biden. Now, another 100,000 provisional ballots are also being counted. These are ballots that were cast on Election Day in person.
ABC's Mary Bruce reflecting on the Biden win.
For Joe Biden, this is the end of a 30-year quest for the presidency. And not long ago, this was a race that was essentially written off. But Joe Biden fought back, running consistently on a message that this campaign, this election, was a battle for the soul of this country.
The president still deploying those lawyers, but not having much luck with his legal challenges to the vote.
The Nevada GOP filed a lawsuit against Clark County, a Democratic bastion, demanding that it halt immediately the use of its signature verification machines. It wanted every ballot counted by hand. It also wanted Republican observers to be able to hear every word that a poll worker says. That's how close they wanted to get. The judge asked at what point does this get ridiculous? He tossed the lawsuit out.
ABC's Matt Gutman repeating ABC News can characterize Joe Biden as the apparent winner in Pennsylvania, making him president-elect. You're listening to ABC News.
Ohio hitting another milestone when it comes to COVID-19 and coming close with another one.
Case numbers have been going up for more than a month, and now the average number of cases reported in the last 3 weeks is just shy of 3,000. More than 5,000 new infections reported Friday. That's
Hey, can we say
record for Ohio. More than 200 new hospitalizations in the last 24 hours,
we can say how
driving up that
good.
average as well. I'm Jack Crumley.
And here's an interesting factoid. According to number crunching done by Cleveland.com, the 3 counties in Ohio where President Trump got more than 80% of the vote on Tuesday, Holmes, Putnam, and Mercer counties, they're also among the top 4 in the state when it comes to per capita rates of coronavirus.
The reason COVID's happening is because Trump didn't want to do a deal with China.
2,000 new COVID-19 cases have been reported in schools in Ohio this week. That brings the
I'm gonna put you
statewide
on the
total
air.
since they started counting case numbers in September to
I'm angry
7,000 cases in schools.
America's dumb.
Cases are counted in public,
Exactly.
private,
What you hear we're
vocational,
saying
and
today.
preschools.
Like,
They
this
have
is
increased
ridiculous.
each
You guys honestly
week.
think this man has our best
Giant
interest?
Eagle, the supermarket chain, hiring ahead of the
you voted for
holidays
the
in
issues
Northeast
instead of
Ohio.
the
The
person
grocer has
next to it,
700
I
openings
guarantee
in
you
Cleveland,
wouldn't
600 in the Akron area. Socially distant hiring events are
she just
being
cracks me
hosted
up.
Monday
That's so
from
funny.
1 to 6 at stores.
All right, we
in
catch
that
you in a
area.
few.
Trump's for big businesses.
Police are identifying a woman who was
Makes me so
found
mad.
dead
I'm
outside of
sorry.
a
I am
Woodlawn
heated.
home
Oh,
on Thursday
believe me,
night.
we
They
are
say
too.
that
I
58-year-old
hope Trump
Tracy
can do something.
Ford Hammonds was shot and killed at a location on Panola Drive in Woodlawn. Witnesses saw a man wearing dark-colored clothing and get into a red sedan before speeding away from the scene. Anyone with information should call the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. And Northeast Ohio farmers are feeling the impact of smaller crowds at Thanksgiving dinner this year. The owner of Wholesome Valley in Wilmot says the pandemic means people don't want 25-pound turkeys this year. I'm Tom Moore.
Filling your news feed with the top trending news at the top and bottom of the hour. Columbus's news is on News Radio 610 WTVN.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Right now at Celebration Kia, we're talking real turkey. Bring us any trade in any condition and get up to a $6,000 discount off any new Kia in stock. Shop Columbus's largest selection of new Kias with deliciously great deals, like new 2020 Kia Sorento SUVs, now up to $6,000 off MSRP. Drive home for the holiday in a new 2021 Kia Sport for 36 months with zero do-it signing. Then only $299 per month. Think your credit is foul? Get pre-qualified risk-free without affecting your credit score at CelebrationKia.com. Don't miss your chance to get $6,000 off with any trade. Only at the all-new Celebration Kia on Route 23 in Lewis Center. 24/7 at CelebrationKia.com. MSRP $29,915. Discount includes $4,000 Kia customer rebate and $2,000 dealer discount. Negative equity refinance. Qualified applicants 36-month lease. Zero do-it signing plus tax. 10,000 miles per year. Security deposit waived. Expires 12/4/2020.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Good afternoon. Welcome to On Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility. We're located at 999 Bethel Road. I'm your host, Eric, along with my father, Phil. As you just heard on the news, Joe Biden is projected to become the 46th president of the United States. The announcement came as Pennsylvania moves into the Biden column, giving the Democrat nominee 273 potential electoral votes, 3 more than required by the election. Biden has also taken the lead in Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. President Trump's campaign continues to say the race is not over, though. But again, to repeat, as you heard on the news, Joe Biden is now projected to be the winner and the president-elect of the United States. Today, you're going to hear from each of us individually about the state of our country, about what lies ahead. JC, Big Ed, Dad, and myself will try and make sense of what is occurring within our election process. And later, we'll get to the gun of the week and an update on ATF's view of the ever popular arm brace and some other stuff that's going on that you're going to want to hear, and that comes after the news. We are the owners of LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility and are active law enforcement. But for 1 hour on Saturdays, we put together a group of firearm experts to discuss new products in the market, training tips, and oftentimes political topics surrounding the Second Amendment. Our commitment, though, has always been to bring you the facts about our industry and ultimately help our listeners and customers with safe, responsible ownership of firearms. If you missed the show, the podcast is a great place to catch it. It's on 610 WTVN. It's on iHeartRadio, iTunes, and now on Google Podcasts. Facebook Live is a really neat place to watch the show. Big Ed answers your questions during the show, and you can go back and watch the show at any point later on. We also throw it out there on the YouTube channel. We have chosen to be sheep. Twice this week, I started to send an email to WTVN saying we're done with the show. Once this week, I placed a call to see what it would take to sell our business here at LAPD. Once this week, I stood in my room at home, surrounded by all my law enforcement equipment and memorabilia, and considered turning in my badge. I'm not sour on the fact that at the moment, my candidate is not likely to win re-election. You go on with life, and most time, nothing really changes in your daily routine, and you support the president of the country regardless. But 2020 is different. Joe Biden was not just on the ballot, but total condemnation of law and order was at stake. The American people were to decide whether or not, as a society, it was okay to burn down another person's property for no reason, to loot a small business trying to make ends meet, and to harm innocent bystanders for simply being in the wrong place at the wrong time. We were supposed to decide that while our streets literally burned, would we have our protectors stand down and watch or enforce the laws of the land as we've always done? We were to decide if this was who we are now, a land of lawlessness, chaos, and demonization of those who protect us. And the American people appeared to have said yes. It's okay to loot and riot, to vandalize historic monuments and buildings, to destroy anything that did not belong to you. And the irony, the real irony of it all, is that almost the entire argument they report to stand for is based on a false narrative. No one has the guts to say it, but it is simply not true that countless unarmed black men are killed without justification by law enforcement each year. It's not true or provable by any facts that our very own department in Columbus is rampant with racism. It is not true, as repeated time and time again by those on the left, that law enforcement is not trained to de-escalate. It is not a fact that a person with a knife 20 feet away is not a threat. The entire national protest is simply based upon false narratives that are never supported by facts, and they only have one goal: use emotion to cause turmoil in an election year. Try and have a logical adult conversation with many of these people, and you will soon see their emotions prevail over any substantiated facts. How did we get here? How did we get to elect a potential president who arguably at times did not know the office he was running for, where he was, or even who he was running against? In the past 2 weeks alone, Joe Biden has said, and I quote, "I'm Joe Biden, I'm running for Senate. I'm Joe Biden, Kamala's running mate. I'm Joe Biden, I'm running against George." And this week he turned to a small crowd and introduced his granddaughter as his deceased son, Beau Biden, who he claimed had run for Senate in Delaware, which again was not true. But the media never shows this. They never showed the looters last week pulling up to a Walmart in Philly like it was a normal day, filling their damn cars full of so many items they couldn't even get back in the car. And one brought a dolly, and on live TV was seen walking out the front door with a washing machine, confident that no one was going to stop him. Why? Law enforcement was told to stand down by the horrible politicians running that city. We have lost our way if we think this is okay. Those who voted to support and justify the chaos, this truly criminal behavior, should be ashamed of themselves. Your parents and your grandparents would be ashamed of how you let this country slip away after they worked so hard through so much. We let it slip away for a lie, a falsehood. You fell for it. You chose not to do your research in what was truly happening in our communities, you chose to not research what was truly happening in our communities, and you fell for it. You made the choice to not educate yourself. They got you to vote on your emotions. You could have had the facts if you took a moment and looked for the truth, but it felt good to just use your feelings. We saw it everywhere in the suburbs. Middle-class women with a white guilt complex holding signs that they didn't even know what they stood for, but they became part of the lie. So now it looks like we all must live with the consequences, the direct path to a socialistic country. They should have listened to those amongst us who have been through it in other countries such as Venezuela. We did. Listen to how absurd we've become. We now have said it is no longer a crime to possess heroin, crack, and other hardcore drugs in Oregon. Yep, sounds like a good idea to me. Oregon and Portland, they seem to have it together. Flippin' idiots. Let me guess. When these drug addicts are off their rocker necks, we're going to blame it on mental health? There are no criminals amongst us in their eyes, just people who are misunderstood. I can see it now. When Joey was having a mental health crisis after smoking crack and he pulls a knife on police, they're going to say they should have just shot him in the knee. Or wait, maybe we should have a mental health professional there to ask him why they decided to smoke crack and live a life of crime. We've lost our way. Congratulations to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Beto, and the rest of the newly elected anti-police regime. By the way, will someone just let Joe know that he is winning the presidency and not the Senate? I'm not sure he knows at this point. If you were one of the 5 million new gun owners who ran to the gun stores when you feared for your life and the safety of the family during the past 6 months, and then you decided to pull the lever for this man, good luck. If they carry out what they have said in their own spoken words, not mine, you may be turning those guns back into the government. How safe do you feel now? Congratulations to the candidates supported by all the local activists. The new Franklin County prosecutor, Gary Tyack, who in an interview with Lacey Crisp this week, was so proud to state that he ran against the Honorable Ron O'Brien because he has seen too many people of color shot by police officers and nothing has come of it. Seriously, Gary? Seriously? Have you not watched the body cam videos and see the assault on police officers by 99% of these hoodlums and criminals? What a reckless, irresponsible, and ignorant statement by someone who's supposed to lead without bias. And he's now going to be the lead prosecutor in Franklin County, alongside the just as ignorant Zach Klein, who you may remember threw out 4,000 cases during the past 6 months in Columbus due to social injustice or whatever the crap he called it. Congratulations, Mayor Ginther. You've achieved total power by being one of the most ignorant politicians in modern history. Your tenure as mayor will have the distinction in history of taking one of the most highly regarded police agencies in the country and single-handedly dismantling it and reducing morale beyond comprehension. What an ignorant person to continue to beat his chest and claim CPD is rampant with racism. It's ironic that oftentimes in police work, you find out the true criminal will give insight to his own actions or beliefs by accusing others of a crime or action in which they are actually a part of. Just interesting, isn't it? Congratulations to the criminals of Columbus. You have some of the most inept, sympathetic group of people now in charge of law and order in Columbus, and your reign of terror in 2020 no longer has to be an anomaly. It can now be the new norm. Chicago, here we come. Congratulations to Joyce Beatty. Wow. In the new America, you can assault a police officer 1 month, conspire to keep that part of the video out of the media, and of course, they're happy to comply, and then get reelected. Only in today's America. It's true. It's a true testament to her political power over the uneducated in Columbus that they keep under their thumb. The election was for the soul of the country. Donald Trump is not perfect, but if you voted against him because you did not like him personally, then you failed our children and you failed our fellow Americans. You made America less safe and vulnerable. Name one segment of the population not better off today under his direction before the unprecedented pandemic. Name a business that was driven out of business due to government overregulation under his direction. Name a country who has threatened our safety and security under his direction. There was no logical, feasible way, if you use facts and not emotions, that the alternative to Trump can be seen as good for this country. The media did a great job of hiding facts if you chose not to be educated, to be a sheep. Actually played out just as our good friend from Venezuela, Luis, has said. He saw the exact same scenario 15 years ago in his once vibrant democratic country that is now a third world. All I can say now is that I'm sorry to my son. I'm sorry to the next generation that we did not live up to the high standards and the bravery of past generations. We have failed you in passing the torch of the greatest country ever. I would say to our children, at least you can read about it in the history books, about how the countless generations sacrificed for our freedoms, how it used to be, but I'm not even sure of that anymore. We'll be back after this break.
From smartphones and TVs.
It's 67.
Losing sound.
I can't do it now. You got to get Denise over here. Hey, Em, can you give me 30 seconds before the weather?
Yep.
We got no sound. I just asked them. They said there's still no sound.
PawPaw, as soon as I do the weather, I'm just going to put it on your mic.
Sound's back on.
Thirty seconds.
Got that, PawPaw? 30 seconds. ABC 6 for 20 weather for today. Plenty of sunshine, dry and warm, high of 72. Tonight, mostly cloudy and cool, low of 47. Sunday, more sunshine, a little warmer, high of 74. It is a gorgeous 67 degrees on your severe weather station. News Radio 610 WTVN.
Columbus's News Radio 610 WTVN.
Seems like yesterday, but it was long ago. Jane, it was lovely, she was a queen of my night.
Welcome back to On Target, broadcasting live from LEPD Studios. I am PawPaw, sitting here besides Eric, JC, and Big Ed. You know, Eric wanted me to say a few things of my thoughts and about what has transpired, and I had a tough time because everything I put down on paper seemed to be doom and gloom, and I hope that it's not. But I feel that our political process anymore is a sham and is looking more and more like a third world country. Lawsuits, violence, protests are becoming the norm. Peaceful protest is one thing. However, people that riot, set property on fire, and loot businesses should be arrested and be made responsible for their actions. But they are not. Law enforcement is being made to stand down and to watch their cities destroyed. Law enforcement is vilified more so than the criminal, especially in cities and states ran by the radical left. I used to think this nightmare would end, but so far it hasn't, and there's no light at the end of the tunnel. I also used to think that the silent majority would rise up and put an end to all this turmoil, that a rapidly eroding our country's values. But now I have my doubts that we will ever rise up. I am not optimistic that we as a society and once a world leader will ever bounce back. We have watched politicians gang up on one another in the debates and call each other racist and womanizer, only to team up and become best of friends in a presidential election. How obvious, how bogus is the sincerity there at all? We have a news media that is in bed with the Democratic Party and has brainwashed the citizens of the United States. Donald Trump was certainly not presidential, but I believe he tried to, as he said, to make America great. I believe no other person could have stood up to the harassment and the constant negativity that President Trump received the last 4 years. Biden is projected now to be the president. Let's see if Biden and Harris are up to the task of dealing with China and North Korea and foreign relations in general. Let's see how fast our economy will recover after the pandemic. Let's see if we have law and order in our cities. My guess is that the real politicians will hide behind political correctness. The Democratic Party will continue to demonize our country, weaken our military effectiveness, and yes, sway us towards socialism. A long time ago, for us older generations, we used to fear communism and socialism. Now the younger folks and other people in the generation seems to embrace it. I'm sad for our country. After I reached the age of 60 and beyond, I would often say I hate getting old. Now maybe it's not so bad. At least if and when our country goes down the tubes, I won't be around to see it.
Pretty sad state of affairs. Pretty
It
sad.
is. You know, it's, I guess, politics in general. It's just, to me, it's a turnoff. You know, what is happening now, you know, back in 2016, Hillary and the Democrats were complaining that Trump stole the election. Now Trump is saying the same thing about the Democrats. I am so tired of listening to the rhetoric. You know, I'm so tired of people being brainwashed and not educating themselves about what really is happening.
I know. It's sickening.
You know, in our type of business, we should worry what will happen to the Second Amendment, how it will be watered down and eroded to the point that if you possess any of the guns they determined to be banned, you are now a criminal.
Right.
Banning the firearms will not stop the shooting. They are either too dumb to realize that, or that they really just don't really care and want to solve the problem. You know?
It's crazy. Ed, I mean, you've been in law enforcement for years, just getting out of it. I mean, what's your take on this? I mean, are we crazy?
No, we're not crazy. You know, being a police officer is a job most people don't want anymore. Now that we've come into a new century, no credible people are applying for the job in law enforcement. And who could blame them? Not only do the police have to worry about a traffic stop turning into an argument as to why the subject was stopped, he also has to worry about the prosecutor dismissing the case and saying he was wrong for even making the stop, let alone the possibilities of the subject fighting physically with the officer and having to use force on the subject only to be told you went too far and now you're left wide open to be sued. You should have just let him go and arrest him later when he calmed down because he was just upset and scared of the police. Or going on a burglary call and waiting to see if the bad guy shoots first. Then you can shoot, and only in the leg to stop him. But what about the bad guy? Do you think he's going to take and try and shoot you in the leg just to stop you? I think not. The point is, law enforcement, as in law enforcement, we don't and we shouldn't have to wait to be fired upon first and wait and try to wound the suspect. When you shoot a cop or come at a cop with a knife, you should expect to be stopped in any manner necessary. But in today's society, that's not the case. So I wonder why departments can't get positions filled today. Policing is not policing anymore. It's babysitting. And having to be abused and beaten and have rocks and frozen water bottles thrown at us. And you're supposed to just stand there and take it without reacting. No one in their right mind would stand there and let that happen to them. And so why should we? The police. Society has spoken with the votes they gave to the new prosecuting attorney, who made the statement that he ran for office because he was tired of seeing young black men shot and killed with no justification. I challenge you, Mr. Tyak, to look at the cases here in Franklin County and tell me and show me how these cases you're talking about were not justified in the officer using deadly force. I don't care who you are. You point a gun at a cop, you better expect to be shot or killed. We are not waiting to get shot first. I pray for this country and the road it's going down, because you won't have police to stop the bad element when they all just walk away, like they are now, retiring in droves.
Yeah, like you retired, Ed.
Yes, sir.
You know, I know. JC, you've been quiet. You're back here with us. Good to see you here. You're the wise one amongst us.
I'm just so saddened by what is happening. And honestly, the biggest loser in this election is the American people.
Amen to that.
The mainstream media can never be trusted again. I mean, it is so obvious what they have done. And unfortunately, this loss is permanent. I mean, it really is most likely
What are
to
they
be.
going to talk about the next 4 years?
Okay. All right. Someone who's
Yeah.
what was that to say?
That's it.
Okay, but anyway, when I said it's the loss is permanent, once the media has determined that now they can control who's the president of the United States, who gets elected or not, and how do they do it? They very simply do not print any good things about the person that they don't like, and only print the things that they want you to see. They totally block it out, and it basically has become a propaganda machine, and that's exactly what it's done. Social media can take your posts off. It's happened to us.
Right.
A boy playing the bagpipes at a funeral for a police officer. They chopped it off. They can remove you from being able to use Facebook just at the click of a button, just like that. So they make that determination, just like they do in China, Russia, Korea, Venezuela. That's exactly where they picked it up from. Nazi Germany. They control everything, can make you hate a person and whatever agenda that they have. And now that they've discovered that they can do that, and there we are. What do we do to overturn it? These are privately owned companies, and these leftists have taken control of all the news media. And as far as the good things that the president has done, I mean, the growth of our economy, foreign policy, the protection of our borders, it gets no coverage. The increase in American jobs and the salaries, especially for minorities, gets pushed aside. And what really astounded me, there's over 100 million gun owners in the United States of America, over 100 million. But guess who posed the questions during debates? The media picks it up. Not one question was asked, even though the guy who supposedly got elected, Biden, he even claimed that Beto was his gun czar. He used the word czar, like the Russian czar, and that's the guy who said, yes, I will come and take them from you. Not a single question was posed in these debates because the media controlled it. They didn't want people to know what the Biden agenda was going to be. So that is what's really sad for me. And just one last thing, it was a news story I had, but it fits right into here. The International Shooting Sports Foundation got pulled. Where is it here? Yeah, they got the Facebook has taken down the International Shooting Sports Federation's page just on Wednesday. Well, that is the reason for they have this. This is the organizer of World Cup Pistol Rifle Shotgun. These are the qualifying competitors for the U.S. Olympics. And they just dropped their Facebook page because they have something to do with ammunition and firearms. They can do it in a click of a button.
It's incredible.
And that's what's sad for America.
It's incredible. When we come back from the break, we're going to get to a little bit more about news, get to what is going on with the ATF, and get to PawPaw's Gun of the Week. We're on Target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Firearms and Range. We'll be right back after the break.
Hey, Eric, are you going to be there on Friday?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to swing in.
All right. That's good.
When you open. I know we're all bummed out right now, but we can only hope they'll just recount or something.
I know. They said, there's got to be a repound. Someone just said, yeah.
Seriously, what will the media talk about the next 4 years?
Oh, I know. They'll go back into their hibernation like Obama years.
Well, the only thing we can hope for is they can prove that it's rigged. There's phony ballots. That's the only thing we can hope for.
But it isn't going to change anything. Whenever they find out, it never really changes anything. It doesn't.
I don't think he's going to let it sit.
Hey, I turned that mic back on because people couldn't hear us on Facebook.
10 seconds.
Oh, we only got 10 seconds. I'm turning it back off.
Live from LAPD Firearms Range and Training Facility, this is On Target, the latest from the firearms industry, the products and politics that affect your hobby and liberty. This program may not be politically correct, but it is On Target. Now, your host, Eric Delbert.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today in the LAPD studios. I don't get to say this too often. I got PawPaw to my left. He's usually there. Big Ed's always sitting there, but finally, finally, JC, you're back. Oh, my word.
Why
Have mercy.
Why didn't you go open a can of you-know-what on them people up in Michigan?
Well, the Buckeyes will take care of that. They'll be putting some whoop on those guys here in December.
That isn't going to save the United States.
I would like to bet anybody at this table right now, or anybody listening right now, that Biden will not serve his full term.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, if they get
I don't think he'll make the first year.
Harris,
because what they want in there is they want Harris.
You think he'll get 2 years?
2 years and a day. Okay,
I don't think
he'll make 6 months.
I don't think he'll go that long.
We should start a competition.
Hey,
How long do you think he'll last?
I am taking bets here.
I have to apologize to everybody that's on the show listening and on everybody on Facebook because I made the comment that it was going to be a landslide. We were going to win. We were going to gloat. And I feel so bad that we're not. But I still believe in my heart that we did win.
Well,
and I think it's going to come out.
And to be optimistic, all right, this is a 4-year term. Things that have been put in place by presidents have been taken out of place by presidents who are elected. The sad part is that we're going to have to endure at least 4 years of crap and fights.
Well, unless in 2 years, when the midterms come, they can make a little bit of an impact. Hey, guys, let's go to Maria's on the phone with us. I don't want her to hold on any longer. Maria, you're on with On Target. How are you?
Hi there, guys. I tuned in a little late, and I apologize. But I wanted to let you guys know that there's plenty of us out here who still support you as law enforcement. We support gun rights, and we support President Trump. I have talked to a few people today that have commented on my flags, my Trump flags on my car, and how heartbroken they are. I live down in Fairfield County, so we did elect President Trump down here. But my heart goes out to the city of Columbus, the police, and what they have to endure now that the prosecutor did not get reelected and issue 2 passed. I'm just so sorry about that. But I also want you guys just to have hope that Trump's a fighter, and he's not going to let this election be stolen. I don't believe that it's over. And I just want to reassure you that no matter what happens, God's more powerful than all of this, and He's got your back, and the people that love you do too.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Maria, and we know. I mean, we do. Still at the end of the day, 70 million people voted for the president. The support for local law enforcement is tremendous. It's just unfortunate that. That the people who support law enforcement aren't the vocal people. We're not by nature the ones who are going to get out there and yell and scream. But we know, and the only thing you can hope for is to keep the faith and keep going forward. And I kind of agree with you. I don't think it's over yet. And if at the end of the day the votes are in, the legal votes are in, and he lost, well, then he lost. But I just don't in my heart believe that the legal votes is what's putting Biden in place. I just don't feel that.
I agree with you. I don't think
you could poll America. I don't know anybody can name one thing in 47 years that Biden has done. I mean, just name something, some major accomplishment he's had. There's just nothing, and
it just doesn't make sense. When you add, I spend many nights up late with my son, and it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up for everything, all the positive in the president's favor and stuff. It just doesn't add up unless you install, some nefarious acts to the whole process. It just doesn't add up.
Maybe they should have farmed out the election counting and tabulations to Price Waterhouse. They could have They could have done it faster, and it would have been probably right on target. No pun intended.
Yeah, right. Oh, that was a good lead-in, Ed.
Yeah, I like that.
Speaking of lead-ins, PawPaw, this is a gun show. We don't talk about guns.
Yeah,
I mean, we have guns. This your gun of the week. We're trying to get back to a little bit of normalcy here, right?
A little bit.
Your gun of the week is really neat, and I think what makes it the neatest is that it was given to you. I mean, isn't that neat? That
Who gave it to him?
Well, I'm not going to say, but he's around this table here.
No, but he hasn't accepted it yet.
Well, I have not accepted. In fact, it stays here at the store.
Oh,
yeah.
Why is that?
And it's not a revolver.
That's amazing.
So
that's probably why it's going to stay at the store.
That's right. Actually, so what do you have there, PawPaw?
Well, it's a Walther PP, sort of. Okay, sort of. PP is short for Policia Pistoli, right? You didn't know I could speak German, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Tell me the way it came out.
Yeah, maybe it's Italian too, which is an indication of its original intended use. It was meant to be carried by the German police. And the PP was entered production in 1929. There had been many later pistols that are similar, and in some cases, outright dupes of the PP. The Makarov, for instance, was called the Soviet PP. The CZ-82 was the Czech PP, and so forth. But neither is an outright copy. Walther themselves produced two variations on the PP theme, one larger than the original and one smaller. The larger version, the MP, which was military pistoli, was developed in 1931 in the hopes of winning a contract to supply the German army, with a replacement firearm. The German armed forces were then still at their Versailles mandated reduced size, but even then, 2 years before the Nazis took over, it was an open secret in Germany that they planned to start rearming in earnest soon. Treaty obligations be damned. Walther was hoping to get into the bonanza of contracts that they thought was going to follow. A variation of the PP is rather more famous is the PPK, which I have here, and the smaller than the original. The K stands for criminal model. All right, that's the English version. Okay, all right. From the side, this firearm looks totally legit, except for the odd wooden grips. The grips that I have on here now are not the original. The originals are flat wooden, no frills, nothing grips, and I took them off. But and the real PPs have a plastic grip, or if they're old enough, they have a Bakelite grips, and usually with the Walther banner is molded on them somewhere. All right, these don't even look particularly finished. The profile is correct though. All right, I have to give history, Eric.
That's right.
All right, I'm sorry. This is going to go on to the next show.
Quit pointing that gun at me.
Okay. It turns out is that this is not a Walther PP. It is a P1001-0. The eagle over crown over N mark is the nitro proof marks of the post-war East German National Proof House at Schule. You will then usually see the P1001 described, when it is described at all, as an East German copy of the PP, except it really isn't a copy. Up to and including World War II, Walther's headquarters was in the town of Zella Melis in Say it,
easy
John.
for you to say.
Yeah.
So,
All right, but it was in that German country.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
After the war, this ended up as part of the Soviet zone of occupation, and the company's owners, engineers, and so on prudently decamped to the city of Ulm, which was in the American zone, in what is now the state of Baden-Württemberg. But the factory and the tooling is the significant or percentage of the regular workforce remain in Zella, and how much of a copy can be when it's made on the same machines, in the same plant, and probably by many of the same people as the original. So this is not a PP, right? This is a P1001-0, and it also takes down, comes apart like a PP.
PawPaw, that is so nice. And one of the kind of funny side stories, when you sent that out to all of us saying that was going to be your gun of the week, JC immediately sent back and says, "Oh, I want that," and 10 minutes later said, "Oh, my wife says I don't want that now."
John, I'll let you hold that.
Yeah, it's interesting. One of the reasons that they did the stamping on the side like they did, and they put AC up there, which was the World War II designation for Walther's plant. Of course, that was destroyed in 1945 by good old American bombers. And so they did this to make it look old so it could be imported, because other than that, it wouldn't have passed the 1968 Gun Control Act.
Oh, wow.
So the importer borrowed the stamping, stamped the Nazi flag on there, stamped all this stuff on there, and then put AC so it looked like, oh, yeah, this is pre that, so we can import it. So that is the reason, because they had all this surplus. Because that was replaced by the Makarov, and so they had all the surplus guns and good
What kind of time frame are we talking about?
So
when
anyway,
was this made?
there you go.
The
50s. 50s, yeah.
50s?
It's in the 50s. And several of them have repeated serial numbers, things like that. They just stamped them on there, and if you take off the grips, you can see where the importer is. They put it down here underneath the grips, but to get it through, so they put all this World War II markings on there just to get it through as a so that it could pass the 1968.
Good gun of the week, PawPaw. JC, I think. Maybe I think I have it next week. Yeah, I do have it next. We're going to start to go this way in the circle, and I have a nice one next week.
Okay.
When we come back from the break, we actually have our good friend Luis called in on the phone. I just see that coming through, so we're certainly going to want to hear from him. We're on target, broadcasting live from the studios of LEPD Farmers Range. Be right back after the break.
The internet's in and out.
Big Ed has in his back pocket.
Oh, you noticed that.
When we come back, guys, Luis is on the line.
All right.
He's going to be fired up, I can tell you.
I'm sure he's going to probably want to go back to where he's from.
Or find another
probably
country.
Safer there. Yeah, it would be nice to
Hey,
put
you know what?
Facebook in
We might try to jump over to a YouTube live.
Yeah.
If it's Facebook is the issue.
If that's what it is, I'm sure all of our fans would agree, and that's what they'd want to see us do as well. Because I know they're all getting tired of us cutting in and out. Matt wants us to go longer after the show on Facebook.
We might. JC, you've never done that with us.
No, I haven't.
Paul Wankel said, good Walther history there, PawPaw. He appreciates that. Is it Polizei, or what did you call it?
Your ABC6 first warning weather for today. Plenty of sunshine, dry and warm, high of 72. Tonight, mostly clear and cool, low of 47. Sunday, more sunshine, a little warmer, though, high of 74. It is a current beautiful 67 degrees on your severe weather station, News Radio 610 WTVN.
Columbus's News Radio, 610 WTVN.
Hey, there's something happening here.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't
PawPaw, was that you choosing the song? Or was that Emily?
Let it play. That was me.
Going down.
Welcome back to On Target. I'm your host, Eric, joined today. Everyone's live here in the LEPD studios. Big Ed on vocals. JC sits to my right, and my father and co-owner Phil sits to my left.
And taking credit for the song.
We put the signal out there in airwave land, our good friend Luis. And if you remember Luis came over to this country from Venezuela, was a police officer in Venezuela, and it's probably been 20 years ago now, I'm just guessing here, and when he started to see his country a thriving democratic country who embraced capitalism, started to go down this socialistic path, and he has been such a voice on America. Watch out, watch out. This is exactly what happened, and we spoke about him earlier in the show. He's actually in law enforcement now in the United States, but I'm sure he has a few things to say. Luis, are you on with us?
Yes, how you doing?
We're hanging in there. Give us some good words.
Listen, I'm living the big deja vu that I ever thought that I'm going to have again, okay? But, I got great news. I went through this, and I know how to fight back. Remember, this is the land of the free and the home of the brave. Remember that. And remember, you people that vote for that guy over there that illegally won the elections, we have mechanisms in the Constitution. We can go to a referendum or we can go to the impeach, but we cannot do that right now. Let's wait until this new government start taking off your private property. When they start taking one car, because you got two, you have to give it to the poor criminal so he can drive at the middle of the night, break in your house, and rob you. Okay? Wait. When they start controlling, you're eating too much pizza and a Coca-Cola, so you're not drinking more pizza and Coca-Cola. You're going to have a card, so you're going to make a line of 8 hours, and you're going to get 1 pound of eggs, 1 pound of rice, and 1 pound of beans. No meat for you, okay? So these people don't know the big mistake that they make, but that's okay. Let it be, because this is democracy. But let it be when they start changing and censor and raise the media. The media play a good place misinforming the public. But when the government starts doing things that they are not agree, guess what? This administration is going to shut them down. There is no free lunch in America. And for you guys, brothers, law enforcement, and brothers, American brothers, we can't lose the hope. We still strong as a nation, but let it be. Let it taking a little bit of the socialists and the communists, and they will see. They will see that real democracy is not based on socialism. It's a worst mistake. That's the only thing that I have to say. And start packing toilet paper and drinking water and medicine and stuff, because this is going to change 100%. The people that vote for these people, they don't know what a socialist is. I always say, it's very good being social and communist on a capitalist country where you can drink Coca-Cola, where you can expect the police, and they don't do nothing to you. Now you can go to Venezuela for free, but because I'm sure they're going to create a program that everybody can travel in free to Venezuela and Cuba, and go do the same thing that you're doing here, over there, and you will have a little bit of taste in your butt. That's the only thing I have to say. I'm going to wait. My wife and myself, we already went through this. We know how to survive. We can live without toilet paper. We can live without food. We can eat canned food. We are used to. We can eat one time a day only. We are used to. We can boil water and drink boiled water because there's no water, because the socialists break down the whole water system. Just do Google. Just do the research. And I hope in the next 4 years we have another opportunity to regain our freedom. That's the only thing I can do, my brother.
Luis, you speak such the truth, and I don't think people realize. I mean, you have said it time and time again. Venezuela was a thriving democracy, right? I mean, you didn't want for anything. There was law and order. I mean, you said it was very similar to the United States, how it is today.
Yes.
And you said, if I remember correctly, you said you never could imagine how it completely changed to what it is now.
Yes. Yes, Venezuela used to be like a U.S., and they, in 21 years, they damaged. And and the worst thing is, America is the first nation in the world, a powerful nation in the hands of socialist people. This is crazy. This is unbelievable. They're unthinkable.
Right. Hey, thank you so much for calling in. We were thinking about you this week, and it's always good to hear that you're keeping the faith, and that helps us to do it as well. Stop in and see us sometimes, and please be safe out there, brother, when you're protecting all of us.
Yes, I will. Thank you so much for your job. Thank you for your service.
Yeah, you as well, Luis. That's Luis. Speaking to someone, this is the people we should have listened to before the vote, because they have lived through it.
Firsthand.
Yeah, and John, we have about a minute here. So Ed had said he apologized, saying that we thought it was going to be a landslide, but there was a landslide of sort in these last couple months.
Well, the National Shooting Sports Foundation said that Americans vote yes in a landslide for gun sales. They just released the end of October stats, and there was a record-shattering 1.76 million background checks completed for the sale of a firearm in that 1 month, which brings the annual total to 17.2 million firearms sold so far this year. And now at the election, we'll see what happens in November and December. The previous record was 15.7 million. Now 17.2 million. And by the way, they have updated their stats on the number of first-time buyers. They believe it's 6.9 million first-time gun buyers. So, and now we have a new administration that's appointed a czar who wants to take all those away. So we're going to see how this plays out. So
it's going to be interesting, guys.
Yeah, interesting.
Guys, we didn't get to some of the news. We are going to hang over for Facebook. Also, when we hang over, we're also that podcast. We're going to try to get that up on the podcast as well. So if you're not on Facebook, you can check it out later. One thing I want to say though, in this final minute, is we do have an announcement. It's kind of a positive thing back to our employees. Our employees have worked unbelievably these last 10 months. I mean, the stresses that we put them through, not everyone was always nice in regards to customers. It has been chaos for 10 months here, and our guys have stepped up, and it has been incredible. With that, and due to the point that there's no specials and no run, there's a lot of ammo, there's all that, we are closing on Black Friday. We are not going to have Black Friday here at the store. We are giving the employees the day off with pay to spend time with their families for all their dedication. So I apologize. There's no big Black Friday specials. We're not giving away guns in years past. We just need a break into our employees. So I just want to put that out there. If you're planning your Black Friday, you might see us out there shopping that day. Who knows? So
you won't see me shopping that day.
I know I won't see you shopping.
You're an online shopper.
Yes. Amazon.
He is an online shopper.
Amazon Prime.
I don't know how.
Ed, I want my gun back.
I don't know what you're talking about, Phil. Hey, I just want to know. Biden keeps talking about the coronavirus and all the thousands of people killed because of this virus, and they blame it on the president. What about all the Chicago people?
Oh, I know. When we get to after hours, Ed, let's talk about that. So, guys, thanks for spending the time with us. Thanks for listening to our rants. Hopefully you feel the same, and hopefully there's still some fight in all of us to go out there and protect the great nation. And it's not over yet, and we're here for you. And keep listening, and let us know if we can help you do anything. We're going to hang over for a little bit on Facebook after the break here, and we'll certainly be back next week.
And let's be careful out there.
All right, Em, another one in the books?
Yep, give me 1 second.
But that was interesting. I wondered about that AC mark, and then that was.
Well, what I have here is that it really doesn't mean anything. is more of a camouflage type thing.
Right, exactly. So it met muster with
All right, ready whenever you are.
All right. Hey, if this extra that we're doing, is there any way to get that to you to add to the podcast?
If you record it, I can add it to the end. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly. It's being recorded on our little machine here.
If
They
you
gave
send
us.
it to me, and I can just do your podcast on Sundays.
Okay, and then maybe call it, after hours, something like that. So.
Wait, you mean like I would have to combine it with your podcast, right?
Or it could be a separate one. It could be this date, 2.0 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know if I don't know.
Okay, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
I
You
don't
ready?
see why not? But I'm not in charge.
We think you are. Okay, here we go. This is Eric from OnTarget. This week, we keep you updated on firearms industry news, and I will have the Gun of the Week sponsored by LEPD Training Facility. Tune in Saturday at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road. This is Eric from OnTarget. Tomorrow, we'll keep you updated on firearms industry news, and I will have the Gun of the Week sponsored by LEPD Training Facility. Tune in tomorrow at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road. This is Eric from OnTarget. Today, we keep you updated on firearm industry news, and I will have the Gun of the Week sponsored by LEPD Training Facility. Tune in today at noon or live from LEPD Studios on Bethel Road.
All right.
Thank you, Emily. I'll talk to you here soon. I'll talk to you next day, sir. All right, bye-bye. All right, JC. JC, you haven't done this yet. This is actually where we used to talk about you.
Oh, good.
And we used to say, oh, yeah, now
I don't know that it was good,
Yeah.
JC.
Oh, it probably wasn't good, but it was. Hey, any publicity is good. Yeah.
Now, hey, JC's not listening now.
Yeah.
But this is where JC, so now we're disconnected from WTVN. We can, let me just make sure I hit that button. We can speak our damn mind now, JC.
All right.
You can let the superlatives fly. So there was some other news I know we didn't get to. I think we should. I think the arm brace stuff is so important. I think we should hold that for next week.
And we can put this one out there, but I thought that was interesting.
The Cabela's, yeah.
The Cabela's thing was pretty interesting. This one,
listen up-
I
listen
really
up
think
to
that we
this.
should save till next week because that could affect a lot of people.
Yes, definitely.
As far as the
Talk about Cabela's. Listen to this, PawPaw.
This is interesting, and this just was posted on the 5th of this month here, so just a couple days ago. The court lets a lawsuit filed against Cabela's for selling ammo to a 19-year-old go forward. So the 19-year-old went in and Cabela's sold them some ammunition that could work in a pistol, but also could work in a carbine. We sold many carbines, and the caliber is .45 ACP, but as you know, we had several carbines in that range. Anyway, he took it home and he put it in, and he was playing with it while he was house sitting, and he invited his best friend over, and the gun accidentally went off, and unfortunately his friend was killed. So the family is suing Cabela's because they sold ammunition to someone that was underage to buy the pistol ammunition. So I'm
Which
assuming
has been perfectly legal if that person states they have
a rifle. But we
right.
think of all the 9mm carbines that we sell out here, all the Rugers, many of them, Colts. The 9mm carbines we have, the Sub 2000s,
tons,
a lot of these, but it's totally legal to sell it to someone who's under 21 years of age or older, 18 or older. You can sell it to, but if it was a pistol, you can't sell it until they're 21. So this begs the question of how do you know when you sell someone and they come in and just tell you, yeah, I've got it for my Sub 2000. Okay, yeah, you're 20 years old, here you go, sell them ammo. They go home and put that ammo in a handgun and kill someone on purpose or accidentally, and then the family goes back and the courts are letting that.
It's just crazy.
It's just, why don't they go after maybe the parents where that gun,
PawPaw, there's just not what what they're doing, but the court's letting it go through. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Now this is go through the court system. So it's been a couple of years. He was 19 years old when he purchased it. I think he's 21 years old now or older, but that's not being the case. The case is the fact that there are several that go either way in rifle, carbine, pistol.
Did the kid was he arrested? What was the deal with him?
No, they just said, hey, it was an accidental shooting. He ended up killing his best friend. It was an accident. They didn't suspect anything from that, but they're going after Cabela's for selling selling
Yeah,
pistol
you-
ammunition. So that puts any, how do you,
Of course.
how do you know? Do you make them sign a statement that yes, this ammunition I sell you can only be used in
and I'll tell you something that we've foreshadowed for a long time, and it is only a matter of time, and we've been on our high horse with it before, is selling pistols to non-immigrant aliens, people who aren't U.S. citizens but are here legally, and they're being sold through a loophole, and it is only a matter of time. And that loophole says you can buy a firearm if you meet a couple criteria. We've talked about it a million times. The criteria are, do you have a letter from your embassy, which never happens?
Yeah, never.
Are you here on military orders from your country, which never happens? Or, so those are pretty high bars to hit, right?
Yeah.
Or if you have a hunting license.
Yeah, so-
And so in the
Oh,
U.S.
those are hard to get, Eric.
Yeah.
Come on.
In the U.S., as it stands today, you do not have to be a citizen to purchase a gun. All you have to do is go out there and print your own hunting license off the internet, and now you can purchase a gun. And here's the crux of it. It doesn't have to be a gun used for hunting. There's nothing
Right,
that
that's what's
stipulates
going-
that.
yeah.
So you
Yeah,
can
deer
buy
season
it
and-
and come and purchase a Glock 9mm.
Yeah.
So when is that lawsuit going to happen? When one of them goes out and does harm to someone, and they're going to say to the store, hey, they had a hunting license, and that's how they were able to buy this, but you sold them a Glock. Where was your reasonable factor in selling that? It's perfectly within the law, but that's exactly why we don't do it.
Don't we have a prompt that comes up on our
we don't
computer
sell to non-US
that
citizens.
you have to plug in their age, or else it'll
Right.
tell us that we can't sell it.
Well, that is true. Yeah, we do have an edit for
Yeah.
ammo and
Right.
yeah, and it does. I mean, and we do run across that sometime on people who are under 21.
JC,
Right.
did they say what kind of gun it was used?
No, this wasn't. This just came out. Matter of fact, I found it in Gun Owners of America. It was their website, and it was just really briefly. The court, lets the lawsuit filed. I actually tried to find information out, but I discovered this about 10 minutes
So you're-
before I came into the show this morning.
So understanding
but I
what you're
thought-
saying is he purchased the ammo under the auspices. And
Right.
prices.
Either they just
Yeah.
sold it to him without asking. He may have,
Yep.
who knows,
And
he
it
may
was
have
for a
looked like he
rifle?
was 30. He just kept, hey,
They
I'd
didn't
like
say
to
that
buy
either.
this, and I
So-
don't know. I don't know if they
so
checked
they
his
only
ID.
put a little bit of
didn't check.
information out there just to
but
get
they
everybody
didn't.
caught in
And,
an uproar.
but the fact is that the courts have allowed it. So I'll try to get more information on this because I don't like to put stuff
Well, we
out
got
there
some
that's
of
just
our fans who
willy-nilly.
were asking.
However, it did come from a reliable. Gun Owners of America, the one who posted this. The guy who did it, 19-year-old Jake Kolek, Kloceek, is the individual who purchased it. The person who was accidentally killed was Anthony King, so you may find it under either one of those. And I wasn't just being lazy. I just found it like 10 minutes
Before we went on.
Before I came on. So, but I thought it was interesting.
We'll give you a break. You just got
okay.
back.
Okay.
You know, we hit pretty hard Gary Tyack today because of his statements about what he's going to do with stuff. But one of the things we didn't talk about, it was in the Dispatch today. Actually, I talked to Ron O'Brien this morning, and we were talking about it. Is that that all these leftist groups are thrilled that Tyack is in there now. So Henry Green case where the guy had a stolen gun fired upon officers.
A stolen 45
they're hoping to,
car, if I remember.
They're
and-
hoping to get justice now.
Well, right. They're hoping, and he
Well, of course
fired
they are.
6 rounds into the police vehicle, and one of them hit the headrest
Right.
of the officer, and they returned fire and killed him. Yet
And
the
that-
police, why didn't they just shoot him in the leg? I mean, come
It's
on,
just-
they wouldn't have to.
That's exactly what I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
And I would like to see. I would invite Mr. Tyack to come out here and explain why the officers were using.
They don't have
force.
to be accountable. These politicians. And
I know they don't, but
they don't
I want to
be
have him on here and have him tell the people why the police were wrong in doing.
I'll
that.
tell you what, Ed. We'll give you a big bonus.
We'll take him off probation.
And and if you can get him to call in or to be on our show.
Okay.
There you have it, Mr.
big-
Tyack.
big
I
bonus.
challenge you to call me and explain to me why the police are wrong. Because you know what's going to happen is just like when my monologue, the officers are not going to stand for this. They're going to leave. They're going to retire.
course.
They're going to quit.
We're already
and there's
seeing
not
it.
going to
We're
be
already seeing it in
police.
Baltimore. They
I
just,
know.
Hey, if you
There
go in
will
there,
be
it
no
looks like
such
we
thing
can get
as
in trouble.
policing
Forget about it.
anymore.
Right.
Papa, why do
Exactly.
I see your challenge to Big Ed like in Christmas Vacation where Chevy Chase says to his cousin Eddie, All I want right now is for you to have my boss right here.
Yeah.
Remember that? Ed's going to be bringing him in with a noose next week.
And be kicking his butt as you bring him in, right?
I'm telling you, it's disgusting to see what he feels and what he says.
You know, and the thing is that they make it sound like that what O'Brien was doing or what Trump was doing was so wrong that now they got to correct it all.
Well, and didn't we? Scallon was on here. So wasn't there there were seven?
It was. I think
seven
so.
Blacks were killed by police. In every case, they had pulled a gun and or fired on the police, and the police were returning fire or protect. So you don't sit there and go, okay, is he going to? He's pointing it at me. I'll just wait till he takes a shot.
Well, you're going to have to. And then what happens if their legs are not visible? You can't shoot them in
or
the
if
leg.
they're moving. I mean, it's hard enough to hit. I mean, we know what it's like. We get people up here in the range of qualifying. The target's sitting there at this far away in broad daylight, and there you go. So and they can have a hard time.
But you know what? I think the thing that I'm sickened about, and we talked about it today, is that this has been a referendum on law enforcement. It has, and I talked to Ron today about it. It has empowered a segment of the population, not a racial segment, but just a segment of the population to argue on the side of the road, to think that is their right to contradict police. I mean, exactly.
Isn't that what I just read?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Ed, this week I was working. Yes, I was working, Ed. I was working third shift this week, Ed.
I'm sure you were.
Yeah, and I stopped a vehicle, and this vehicle happened to be occupied. I didn't know at the time. It was for speeding. I mean, when they went by me 20 over, I couldn't see who's in the car, right? So they stopped, Ed. They didn't pull over to the right.
Of course not.
They pulled over to the left and stopped in a turn lane. So first of all, I mean, it happens. People don't know what to do and stuff. But they stopped in the turn lane.
They're all scared,
right? And so it was occupied by two female black occupants, right? A driver and a passenger. And the driver, she was fine. I told her why we were stopping her, stuff like that. The passenger, before I even got up to the car, I could hear her yelling and screaming.
It's only because we're black.
Well, exactly. And yelling and screaming, had her camera out, and she continued to say, my uncle is a judge in Franklin County.
Whoop-dee-doo.
Who we happen to know very well, who if he saw the video, wouldn't put up with this, let me tell you. And she's yelling and screaming at me, and I'm as sweet as pie. And at some point, she gets out of the car. So think about this from a law enforcement safety standpoint.
That's not good.
I go back to my car, and now she's out of the car. We're in a turn lane, and so just over the concrete barrier is traffic going the opposite direction. I politely, ma'am, you got to get back in the car. I'm going to, you're making me worried out here with all the traffic. What are you going to do, shoot me? Just her words, and she's filming all this. They felt so unsafe, they called another friend to come pull behind me.
Oh, that's even smarter.
Right. So another female came and pulled behind me. So think about in a law enforcement scenario, in a traffic stop here, you're trying to maintain the order of the stop. You're already in a precarious position because if they pulled over, they didn't do what they're supposed to do. You have one of them jumping out of the car, and now you have someone pulling in behind you. Think about what that does from a safety standpoint.
Let me ask you, did you tell the lady to stay in the car?
Absolutely.
And she disobeyed you?
Oh, absolutely. She finally got back in the car. Only to jump out once again.
Now, let me ask you something. What would you have done if she had her purse and she started to reach in her purse? What would you have done?
In today's environment, I would have taken cover and continued to give demands. But
so you're saying you'd have been too scared to protect yourself because you would have been.
Well, everything goes through your mind.
No, I'm not saying it does.
I know, but
I'm just saying that
it's just. I mean, the lady who pulled behind us. She said, I'm just here to make sure they're protected. And I said, well, you know what? You need to go across the parking lot. You can watch it from over there. But I'm not because where she was parked behind the cruiser, it was the beginning of the turn lane. So now she's sticking out in the through lane
and blocking your lights.
Blocking the lights.
And then putting
exactly.
herself at risk of getting.
Now let me ask you: did you call at that time for a backup?
I didn't. I should have, but I de-escalation, right?
Should have called TIAC.
well, hey, this afternoon, the judge that she so excitingly threw out there time and time again, he's getting a call because he is a good guy, a good person, and he's getting a call
let
proactively.
him see the video.
Yeah, because it's craziness. And I was sweet as pie.
That's the kind of shit that gets people killed.
Exactly, Ed.
And puts law enforcement in a bad light. Why people cannot just sit there, get their ticket and leave and then take it to court and fight it is beyond me. Why do they have to take it into the street right then and there?
Right. Because they've been taught that that's okay. They've been taught that that's okay. They've been taught that you can challenge the police right there and push them to the brink. And if you got to throw something at them, that's fine. Or in case of Joyce Beatty, if you want to take a swing at them, that's okay.
It's okay.
We've said it's okay.
I just see that would. I mean, I couldn't be a police officer. I mean, I sorry. It just I would have arrested her, put her in cuffs, let her sort it out downtown, let the judge let her go.
And then
But
you
I
would
would've-
have had the cases dismissed against her
Well, of
for
course.
false arrest, and then you'd have been wide open for a
Well,
lawsuit,
and you
just
ju-
like what's happening today. And
Yep.
officers are not
sorry.
going to do this anymore because they're not going to lose their house.
Well, that's the thing.
Their
And-
home, their family's going to get broken up because of that.
And in it was in Portland where they had, and I don't have the latest statistics, but a couple of a month ago or so when I'm doing the shows, over 100 officers had already left. They
Yeah.
said enough of this. They left. I mean, 100 officers at that
they're
time.
retiring so
Yeah,
fast
they're
in New
retiring,
York.
and some of them are just saying, you know what, I'm going elsewhere. I do not need this. I don't need to be exposed to this.
They're retiring so fast in New York. New York State has put a stop to letting them go that quick. They're making them do it in sections.
That's correct. And let me tell you what's next up. And someday, when we're totally unfiltered, we're going to say it like it is. So you get all these tenured good officers leaving, which is leaving a vacuum. They have lowered the standards. They have lowered the standards to become law enforcement.
Right.
You no longer. It used to be when I got in and you got in. If you had done drugs,
Forget it.
Done right.
You
That's
would-
the new
it
standard,
would've-
Ed. The new
you wouldn't even made it into the lie detector.
The
test
new
if they do that.
standard is as long as you haven't done drugs or sold drugs in the last 6 months or so, you're still okay.
Well, you know,
that's the type of people.
With what they just passed in Portland, it's okay if you've used heroin or crack or
Right.
cocaine. So it's all right to apply for a police job for them too. That's what I'm saying. They can't find any credible officers anymore. I've talked to 2 different chiefs of police here recently that are hiring, and they've gone through so many applicants and not hired them because there's something in their background that has not made them a credible person to put on the street with a gun and a badge.
Yeah.
So if they can't find people, and I'm talking 20, 30, 40 people through applications just to try and find one position. If you can't find them, they're going to lower the standards even more, and they're going to put those people out there. And they think they've got a problem now.
And Ed, they have lowered the standards. You talk to a good friend of ours who has done polygraph for a lot of officers, and it will make you sick to know what they have told him not to ask anymore. You know, sexual deviancy is no longer on the table. So,
you mean that you can't have sex with a lamb now, or what?
No, you can't ask about it.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
so
okay.
That would be a bad idea.
The sheepest thing to say.
But it's true. It is true. In the name of making it a more diverse police department, we have done things that has put people in places who shouldn't have been in places.
Absolutely.
It's just how it is. That's the
That's
fact.
okay,
police,
because the police review board will sort out those people.
Oh, of course they will.
Yeah.
Of course they will.
Do we have any stats on the amount of recruitment? I mean, because you always need police officers, even in the good old days. So, what has it done to the recruiting classes? I mean, do we?
know.
I don't know if there's any
interesting to see.
way
We can
that
probably find that.
I'm just curious because who'd want to be a police officer?
We have a
nowadays?
young
I mean,
kid
it's just
that
crazy.
works for us during the summertime. He's in school now. He's in college, and he wants to be a police officer. And he's been working now for us for a couple years, and I see him periodically. And I asked him, I said, do you still want to become a police officer? He says, yes. He's a good kid. He's a good kid. And I used to try to talk him out of it. But now I'm thinking,
we need the good one.
We need the good
We
kids.
need the good one. You know what I can't figure out is the neighbors of my street. And I know some of them are listening right now, or maybe not now, but they, I know, voted for Biden because they have signs in their yard.
yeah.
Okay? And right next to that sign is we support our law enforcement. How can you do both? How can you be
Can't.
for both?
You can't.
And the thing is, though, is that they're real nice people. And they're your age.
Yep.
And they have families. very nice people that would do anything
it goes
for you.
back to they're uneducated. They have chosen. You know what? The facts are just too hard. I don't want to be. I hate to see people in distress in the facts. So they have chosen not to go out there and look, because it doesn't take much to see that you can't support that group of people and support law enforcement. They contradict.
It is a known fact that the Democratic Party is anti-military, anti-anybody in a uniform, and I get concerned about that, not only local law enforcement, but the military.
Right.
Being a deterrent is having your offense so good that no one wants to mess with you.
Well, those folks that you're speaking of, and I'm sure they're very kind people, and in the jurisdiction where
They
I'm
are
at,
good people.
There's a lot of people that I've known that are also the same way. They support the police, but yet they voted for Joe Biden. And you make the comment, you don't know how they can do that because there's a clashing, as Eric said. It's because they don't see and understand what we really do and what we're up against.
Right.
They just think that because if they say they support the police, we're going to be there for them. Yeah, we're going to be there for you. But when it comes down to after we have to make an arrest at that house, when it goes to court, they're not going to want us there anymore. They're not going to support us anymore because they're going to think that we were overboard and we should not have arrested him. We should have just slapped him on the hand and said, don't do it again. This is not the way in this world today. You can't do it. Just like years ago, they used to say that guys got pulled over for drinking and driving. The officer would say, pull your car off the road, I'll give you a ride home. You can't do it anymore.
You can't.
You're going to get sued.
Right, you can't do it.
And you're going to lose everything that you've tried to build up over your life. And you brought up the fact your friend that wants to be a police officer. My son's in the police academy right now. He's going to graduate in December.
I didn't know that.
And I'm sorry. I'm proud of my son.
Yeah.
But I fear for his safety.
Exactly.
And I fear for not only for his safety, but for getting into a city or a department where they have a person like Tyak who's going to hang him out to dry if he thinks that he was wrong.
I've been trying to get Eric to throw in the towel, and when I was his age, there was no way that I was going to quit. I wanted to be a police officer, and I understand where he's coming from, but when you look at it, what's happening, you're saying, Eric, is it worth it?
But if you use that same logic, doesn't somebody have to stand up? Doesn't somebody?
It's just the problem is who?
Well, I mean, us. I mean, if I said, you know what, yep, there's too much risk, I'm out, and everyone said that, I mean, who? I feel an obligation. I feel like somebody needs to, stand up and say that I'm still going to do it. I'm still going to be out there and fight for the good. If everyone caves because it's too risky.
I don't think that's what he's talking about. It's not because it's risky. It's because nobody has your back.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
There,
You're right.
Yeah,
I know.
There's no
the
sense,
risk is after the fact.
There's no sense of doing this job knowing that you're going to get hammered for doing the job.
Yeah. Yep. And the thing is about us, Eric and I, we have over 60 years of experience in law enforcement, but it's all been on a part-time basis, okay? But it's never our livelihood. Not our we wanted to be out there. We took the same risk. We had the same training, but it was not our livelihood. And when you look, I mean, just the other night, and I know what is happening is that, they're getting down on the part-timers because they're not filling the shifts, okay? And they don't, the full-timers and the chiefs, they don't understand that I've got a full-time job. Every time I worked the streets, whenever I was active, I worked my job 8-9 hours. Then I went out and worked another 8 or 9 hours. No one would do that. No regular officer would work 16 hours back to back, but they expect part-timers to do that. Eric worked a third shift and then had to work the next day here.
I'm working 12 hours next week on a day. Hey, we'll leave it with one thing. Here, Emily just sent this to us. She said, someone sent it to her. They said, don't give up hope. She sent me a screenshot of 2000 where it says Al Gore wins. So, all right, guys. Well, JC, so good to have you back.
It's good to be back with you guys.
Yep,
It really is. It's a privilege.
And certainly stop by the store. We are here pecking away, selling ammo, selling guns, and if we can help, we're around. So until next week, and thanks, guys. We did good.
Yeah, like this. This is good.
Everybody take care. Keep your fingers crossed. Pray. God bless you all.
Ed, can I say I love your shirt today, too?
I love my shirt, too.
Yeah. Have you gotten any comments about that?
No, nobody's saying about my shirt.
Yeah.
But you know what? He is a lion, dog-faced pony soldier.
Yep.
Ed, you're good.
Thanks.
You're good. Have a good week, guys.
Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.